Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of the e-commerce lab by Ecomcy, the place of everything related to Amazon FBA, private level, and e-commerce. My name is Vincenzo Toscano, your host, founder, and CEO of Ecomcy. And today we bring another special guest. His name is Lenny, and he's the co-founder of AZ Seller Kit, which is one of the top solutions out there to understand your profitability and actually automate your pricing. And I think this is very important, especially the second part pricing. I think that's huge, especially in 2024, understanding like how you find the perfect price point for your product, which at the same time that's gonna reflect in your profitability. And therefore, if you don't really tap into that and don't do a lot of split testing, which I see across all sellers, you're definitely gonna struggle as an Amazon seller. So Lenny, it's a pleasure to have you here on the show. Thank you so much for being here. How you doing, my friend?
Fantastic. Thank you for having me. Always a pleasure
Thank you.
to, have these conversations. I feel like it's great. I feel like we're blessed to be in this industry where everyone's so open and so willing to talk to each other and hang out. It's amazing.
Of course. Yeah, that's all about that is provide as much value, share our knowledge. And at the end of the day, I like the fact that we are like a big family, we always got each other back. And you see that we have so many Facebook groups, WhatsApp groups, webinars. So it's amazing. So Lenny, let's start with you. Like you have such an amazing background as well. You've been in the space for so many years now. So tell us a little bit about how everything started and what made you found as this seller kit. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I've definitely been in the space a long time. I started my career in retail, selling music and games and movies and books. And Amazon was
Okay.
a bookstore. So, been selling on Amazon since they first opened the marketplace, talking about early 2000s, maybe 2001, something like that.
Yeah.
So been on the platform forever. We pivoted to when streaming really took over, we pivoted into apparel, online
Hmm.
specifically, right? Our retail stores had closed, and that entire industry went away, brick and mortar. Now it's pretty much all online or streaming. So we pivoted to direct to consumer with a heavy focus on Amazon, and we got into the apparel category. And so we sell apparel on Amazon now, and
Okay.
selling apparel means managing tens of thousands of SKUs every season. There's 2 seasons a year. Every season it's a brand new catalog that has to go up, so you're always listing new product, always launching. And it's not like you're launching one item. When the new season hits, there's 50 new styles, and each style comes in 5 colors, and each color comes in 6 sizes. So like the variation counts and the listing counts get up there. So very quickly we started leaning heavily on technology to streamline our business. It's the only way we were able to scale up. And so we
Yeah.
started writing software for ourselves. The software was working very well for ourselves, and so we kind of had to make a decision at one point. What's our 5-year vision? How can we help the most sellers? How can we impact this Amazon community or the direct-to-consumer community? How can we have the greatest impact? So if we try and scale up our agency, that's very challenging. You take on more clients, and it could dilute the level of service. So we didn't really want to go that route, and we stayed with our core clients that we work with now. And we thought, the software that we have, why don't we make it front facing and make it available to other sellers? Like that could help people, and it's kind of self-serve. Like once you start using it, you're using it yourself. So we thought that could have greater reach, greater potential to impact more sellers. So we ended up starting AZ Seller Kit, and I guess the rest is
I love it.
fast forward. Fast forward a few more years, and just this whole idea of community and building. So we wanted to be more engaged and just trying to have more reach and learn. Right. One thing I'll say is student first. Yeah, always a student, just listening to and trying to learn from how other people are running their businesses and trying to take the positives from everything you hear. But it
Yeah.
led us to start the Ecom Cooperative, which is another organization that I joined early on, and the goal for the Ecom Cooperative is to just really build a community of both service providers and sellers, and host in-person events and networking events and things like that. And so that's another layer Another one of the
Yeah, I
board
love that.
here. Yeah.
Yeah, I know you're very active as well in the community. You do, amazing events as well actually, if I'm not mistaken, you're actually one of the board members as well of the Ecom Cooperative, right? So, which is
Yeah.
an amazing community in the Amazon space. You guys are doing so many webinars, so many physical events. So, yeah, you're definitely touching all the different bubbles that you can provide value into in the Amazon community, which is awesome. Now, let's talk about and first of all, the other thing I want to also touch on is that also the beauty of this space. When we encounter these pains about struggles that we have as founders, usually that's where most of the software solutions out there actually were created in the first place, because it was out of a necessity. And therefore, usually as an Amazon seller, when you have a necessity and you go through struggles, other Amazon sellers are also going to have that struggle. And therefore, creating a
There.
solution is usually something that people are going to get a lot of value out of that. So let's talk about the pricing. Basically, that's something I mentioned at the beginning of the episode. I feel pricing is something that most people are getting wrong when it comes to pricing, and I see this all the time when I do audits. um they really kind of doing this as a gamble, right? They add a coupon, they add a prime deal, they add buy two and get one for free, or they have a sell price, but there isn't really any data driven decision making behind that. It's just the fact that, oh, I want to sell more, I just reduce my price 10, 15%, which is industry standard, and see what happens. But it's not driven by KPIs, right? And I know that's what some of the core things you guys do as a seller kit. So tell us a little bit about the importance of pricing and how you're seeing that affecting your brands and your clients as well when it
Yeah.
comes
So
to that.
I feel like we stumbled into pricing. Yeah. The par for the course, business 101. You have to know what your costs are. So you know your cost of goods. You know your what, if you're paying any royalties, or you have to pay agencies any commissions, or you're spending money. You know what your costs are in terms of you know what it takes to get this product delivered to a customer, right? So the business 101 is you buy low, sell high. So you're adding up your cost of goods plus all your other costs. That's what you're buying for. You want to try and make X amount of margin, so you tack on some profit on top of that, and then that's what you're selling for. There are other basic factors that'll go into figuring out your initial price. Like you'll do market research and see what the competitive landscape is like, and then figure out where you want to fall in between. And then you'll pick your price, and that's what you'll launch with, and that's what you'll go. That's typically how you should decide your first price, your entry. Is you have to know all of
Hmm.
your costs and all of your expenses, and then understand how much margin you need to make the function. And if the combination of those two fits in the market, then you can compete. So then launch your item at a price, right? But
Yeah.
it's so another very common, where do I get my Amazon price from? Another very common thing for larger sellers that have brick and mortar presence. So they sell their product to all the chain stores also, right? So they might think, I sell my product to Target or to Macy's or to Kohl's or one of these department stores, right? And in the retail stores, these retailers put the item for $25. So if they're retailing it for 25, then I have to be 25 on Amazon. That's the
Yeah.
value of my item. That's what my price is worth. My item's
Yeah.
worth $25. So right away you might say, oh, $25 works. I have enough room in there to make money, and so I'll leave it at 25 because that's the value of my product. So determined by these other retailers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like in general, like those are the two areas that people will get their pricing from, just calculated based on what they need to make and it fits the market, or they're in brick and mortar, so the other retailers establish the value. But Amazon's a different marketplace. I think
Yeah.
in one of the I speak about this topic sometimes. I have some slides that I would present. Like
Hmm.
one of the slides, you're familiar with Keepa, right? Keepa is a
Yes.
software that tracks pricing historically. So I put up a Keepa chart of one of the best sellers in the apparel category, right? I think
Hmm.
it's like a Hanes t-shirt or something, Hanes 6-pack t-shirt or something like that. And
Yeah.
it shows the pricing over time. And it's a chart that just goes up and down over time. This item must have fluctuated in price between $18 and $25 every day for 5 years straight. It goes up and down and up and down. And the
Yeah.
idea that I'm trying to convey when I'm showing that to people is that Amazon is not like a retail store. On Amazon, the consumer is trained. The price is what the price is right now today.
Yeah.
And if I come back tomorrow, it could be something different, and that's fine. The Amazon
Exactly.
customer understands that. They're used to it. I mean, Amazon grew up and started as a book or DVD companies, selling media. There were third-party sellers on that stuff left and right. The prices were
Yeah.
all over the place. I mean, that's how the Amazon consumer is trained, and that's what they're used to. So don't be
Yeah.
afraid of changing prices, right?
Yeah.
And
That's the
that's
thing.
the first message that whenever I get to talk on this topic, I'll try and just get that out there. Like, you should test your price. You came in at, your math is $25, and that's the price you need to be at. Great. Try 26. Try 27. See if your sales velocity stays the same, or if you were at 25, maybe you're selling 50 units a day of your item. Try 24. Try
Yeah.
23. See if now you'll sell, your margin might be lower, but maybe you'll make more in profit dollars because your volume goes up. I mean, so that's like the basic ideas behind just the concept of pricing. You're a private label seller and you have no buy box competition on your listing. And just
Exactly.
people hear the word repricer and they say, no, I don't need a repricer,
Yeah.
or
No.
because they're private label. You hear repricer, you hear wholesale, buy
Exactly.
box competition. There's 30 sellers on the listing, but that's even, you should be testing your pricing as a private label seller also.
Yeah.
I'll
I
tell
know.
you, I'll tell you a story how we stumbled into this, right? So I
Okay.
told you we started in apparel in 2015, right?
Yeah.
So I was buying my inventory from, I was taking from retail stock. The manufacturer was selling to brick and mortar retailers. And so I was buying inventory that was ready for retail. So what does that mean? That means that in one box, there's no item is individually polybagged. So
Wow.
everything in the box loose. And the box is assorted small, medium, large, extra large, 4, 8, 8, 4. Those are the quantities. 24 in a box, 4
No,
small, 8 medium, 8 large, 4 extra large. So if
that's a
I want
mess.
to, so now on Amazon, you have to list each one as its own SKU. We have to
Yeah.
polybag and label everything. And the challenge became when we started selling, things were selling well. So now, okay, the medium, there's a reason they put the ratio with more mediums than smalls. Medium's a more popular size. So I sold out of the medium. I still have stock left on the small. What do? I can't order the medium. I have to buy a case that comes mixed. So we
Hmm.
bought a case. We did it again and again. And then after some time, you end up with stockpiles of inventory on the
Yeah.
two sizes that don't move. So we
Yeah.
said, how do we fix this problem? And we started playing with our pricing. And that's really what started it for us. So we would take the small and the extra large and lower the price because we were overstocked on those. We would take the medium and the large and raise the price to try and throttle the sales. My intention was slow down the sales. It's selling too fast.
Yeah. I
And so
know.
I might have been selling for $20. And so we tried 22. I want to slow down the sales. The sales didn't slow down. Shit. Let's try 23. Let's try 24. We got to 25. Finally, at 25, the sales started slowing down to a pace where I could reorder and it would make sense. And
Yeah.
so when we saw that, so if you have, 80 listings, 100 listings, and each listing has 7 or 8 colors with all the different size variations, to manage each one by itself, there was, in the beginning, we were doing it manually.
Yeah.
And just focusing on our top sellers. Once we saw
Wow.
that it was working, accomplishing what we wanted, our margins went up, and
Yeah.
even though we were selling the other items at a lower price, we were actually selling more volume of them, and we were able to restock without being to reorder without getting overstocked. And so we automated it, and that was the first version of our pricer, was just inventory based, supply and demand, like basic concept.
Yeah.
And
Cool. Wow. That's quite a story. What? You went to
Look,
a big struggle, man, a big struggle.
yeah.
So I think it's something that I'm very curious to learn because I 100% agree with you. People is very reactive only on the surface, like, okay, what the retailers are doing when it comes to price, what is my competition doing. And you also say something very important: people is afraid to change price. I have met sellers that they haven't changed the price since 2016, 17. I mean, it's crazy, like everything went up and you're not increasing your prices. Like, that's crazy. And at the same time, I feel where I really want to tap in when it comes to having a conversation with you is I feel pricing is also a conversion thing, right? And people don't measure that realistically. Like when I mean conversion, it's not only from the perspective of sale, but how many extra people now click on your listing, the extra increase in impressions, how's that affecting the overall KPIs besides only sales? And I know the definitely the decision making around those KPIs can allow you to make even more clever decisions when it comes to finding the right price. So I'm curious to learn, like, you guys, when it comes to playing with price, like, do you also look at those KPIs? Like, okay, at this price point, I have better conversion at this price point and split testing. Is that something you also advise to implement?
So in terms of the automation that the tool has built in, we over the years we tried different things. What
Mm-hmm.
we ended up with, and the primary way it works now, it's reading sales velocity. So
Okay.
at the end of the day, if I'm selling 100 units a day on my
Mm-hmm.
listing and I'm playing and I raise my price, am I still selling 100 units a day? If I went from 25 to $26, am I still selling 100 units a day? And if I am, so let's push the needle again and try 27 or try 28. Now, at some point, the higher price will erode your sales. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's just basic knowledge, right? The higher the price, the lower the sales, the lower the price,
Mm-hmm.
the higher the sales. It's like business 101 type of concept. But we'll try and push it till we see where the velocity, where your sales actually start to slow down. And if the sales do start to slow down, so then the system will mark down, will start bringing the price back down to try and get the
Mm-hmm.
velocity to go back up. Now, so the primary premise is the sales velocity. That's the major KPI
Awesome.
that we're looking at. And the other layer, the other element of that you can't ignore is seasonality.
Mm.
Because,
Yeah.
you know, if you sell winter coats, then your item is going to have the velocity of X, let's say 100 units a day in December, January, February, but maybe March, April, springtime starts coming. Coats don't sell in the spring. So your velocity is going to drop. Velocity dropping because the weather changed doesn't mean you should drop your price.
Yeah.
So
Of course.
so seasonality plays a role in the algorithm. Also, we'll look at the seasonal trend and make sure that it's not an expected drop. If the drop is something that's expected based on historical trending and things like that, so then it'll adjust the pricing accordingly. So
Awesome.
it's important
Now,
to look at seasonality.
good. Now, when it comes to doing pricing strategies, I guess something people might be wondering as well is like how you avoid maybe creating this phenomenon where people could figure out that you are very unstable with pricing. Like one day I go on your listing, you're 15, one day you're 12, one day you're 17. So based on that, and to avoid that kind of perspective from a consumer point of view, is there a minimum amount of time you have to wait before changing the price again? Like, do you do it
Yeah,
daily? Do you do it every week? How you do them? Yeah.
yeah, definitely. So depends how aggressive you want to be in your business specifically. Like everyone has to make that decision on
Hmm.
their business level. But once a day, maximum twice a day. You,
Okay.
you change a price, you need time to read data and see how the
Hmm.
market reacts to it. You can't just change it multiple times a day. The only caveat or exception maybe would be if you are a seller that has the bestseller badge. If you're top of your category, right? If you're the number one bestseller in your categories, that badge means a lot in terms of the conversion
Hmm.
rates, right? If you lose that badge and then react, not a good thing. So
Mm-hmm.
for sellers that are holding that badge, I would take a completely different pricing strategy approach. It would be so much more cautious, because
Exactly.
you want to do everything proactively to keep that
Mm-hmm.
badge. But if you have things that have a BSR of 5,000, 1,000,
Yeah.
2,000, 20,000, 50,000, 100,000, and you're
You can take
selling
the
your,
risk. Yeah.
yeah, you can take. What's going to happen? You'll have a day. The market will react. They'll tell you, if the consumers who are shopping will tell you, we support this price or we don't. You'll see
Yeah.
the sales slow down if they don't, and then okay, lower the price. It didn't work. Try again next week.
Yeah.
And that's what it does. It'll test, and if it doesn't work, it'll come back down, and then it'll wait a few days and then test again. And if it didn't work, come back down. Because just because the price increase didn't work in January 15th doesn't mean it won't work on February 8th.
Of course.
Maybe the market changed, maybe something else in the landscape changed. And
Yeah.
especially with
Yeah.
all the fees coming up the way they have been now. I think there's a big one launching in a new fee that's going to start hitting in a couple of days, low inventory
Yeah.
fee.
That's
So like
big. Yeah.
people are raising prices. You have to, that you can't get out of it today.
Yeah.
For the
Yeah.
last couple of years, maybe you could, but with the way things have been going, and now 4 or 5 fees went up this year: the inbound
Yeah.
placement fee, and the low inventory fee, and the revised long-term storage fees, and the other fee, and this fee.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually, the market's going to catch up and start raising prices. So
Yeah.
if you tested a price 3 months ago, doesn't mean that today that's not going to work. The market's going to be changing, so you should
Oh,
always be testing.
good. Now, when it comes to testing pricing, I guess you also within that testing, I guess you should define boundaries, right? What I mean by boundaries, like if you're a very healthy brand, you want to stay within specific price point because your core is profitability. But if you're launching, maybe your boundaries are much more aggressive, like you're willing to lose money and stay within a boundary that is break even losing money. So from your experience when it comes to that, like is that something that you also advise, like having different bandwidths to play with, or realistically is always driven based on sales velocity? Because I guess at the beginning, what I'm trying to say, if you have no reviews, your placement is not there, and you're really getting started, like maybe reducing price to some extent, if it's not significant, it's not going to move the needle and give you that sales velocity. So you have to combine this with other elements like a strong PPC, external traffic, or things like what is your take on that? That's
I
one.
think I think you touched on an important point, when you're talking about this topic. You have to
Mm-hmm.
make sure you cover. So it's good you brought it up. Launching. I would not recommend playing with pricing on launch.
Okay.
We typically would not touch the price. Uh, for us, when we launch an item, our strategy for that works for our business has been to launch with the first few days. We launch with a high price.
Okay.
I launched
Interesting.
with what my target price. I want to sell my item for $30.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not at the bottom of the market in terms of price. I price myself where I feel my brand can get that value. I know my listing quality is tops, my
Yeah.
images and my A plus content,
ACO. Everything.
everything's tops, right? So the listing quality and the content is all there, and I can get the premium. So I'll launch at my premium price. I'll leave that price for a couple of days and spend heavily on PPC. I need to generate sales at that price. Once I get 2 or 3 sales, the reference price on Amazon is now established. So once the reference price is established, then I'll take my launch and mark it down to 50 off. I'll put it $14.99. And now by doing that, because I got the sale at 30 and I waited, I got a few sales at $30. Amazon now thinks this
That's
item
my
is a $30 item. So
mm-hmm.
then when I reduce it to 15 for my launch to be aggressive, what
Yeah.
happens? I got a slash through 50% off. And that slash
Yeah.
through will last for 30 days, which is a big part of the launch. So
Yeah.
that's when we'll do the
Interesting.
slash through and mark it down instead of coming out on day one with a low
Out of
price.
the gate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Start with a high price, start with your target price, or maybe even a little bit above your target price. Get some sales.
Mm-hmm.
After you have a few sales in the pipeline, then we'll bring the price down. And when the price goes down, you launch with Vine, wait till reviews kick in. So between reviews kicking in that's when we'll really go full throttle on the PPC to try and push the, once it has at least one review,
Yeah,
that's a
exactly.
positive one, 4 or 5 stars. So then you start pushing on the PPC, and then the thing goes up. By the time the item gets to 60 days or 75 days old, we feel like we're done losing money. Now,
Exactly.
let's see if we can get back to even. So then you start raising the price. So if you're at 15, go to 18,
Yeah,
and we don't do it in tiny batches of
yeah,
50-cent increments. We'll try 15, go to 18. I'm at 18, I'll try 20. 19.99 is the number. It's a special price point. 19.99,
awesome.
try 22.99.
Yeah,
22.99, try 24.99. I need to
cool.
be at that $25-$30 number to be profitable. So you'll inch your way back up over a couple of
Cool.
weeks time and hope that it sticks the landing.
Nice. And just to start concluding, you mentioned there's something very interesting, which is sell price. I feel when it comes to playing with pricing, there's many ways you can do this. You can do this with the list price, the sell price, but then there are things that you can throw into the equation, such as vouchers, prime deals, and all that kind of basically extra tools that Amazon gives you. So, from your experience, when you play with pricing, do they also kind of enter into this approach when you testing price? Like, what do you do with vouchers? What do you do with prime deals? What do you do with promotion, like stacking buy two and get one for free? Like, are those also a core foundation of the testing, or you try to keep it more at the sell price feature and that's it? Yeah.
No, yeah. So if you're talking about the tool, the software, in terms of what it automates only the straight price.
Mm-hmm.
It'll test
Okay.
up and down pricing. It's
Yeah.
effective on running evergreen items. But
Awesome.
in terms of pricing strategy in general, like
And strategy.
what we do in our business, definitely. So list reference prices will determine where you get the slash through or not, right? And if you run a prime exclusive deal, a PED, that doesn't display as being sold
Exactly.
with a discount. That's the equivalent. If you're shopping as a Prime member, you just see the PED price. You just see the price as is. You don't even see that it was selling for 29. And if you're logged in without Prime, then you'll see the high price with a little
Exactly.
message that says,
If you roll,
enroll
yeah,
in
if you roll.
Prime and get this item for $3 off. That's how they try and incentivize. So PEDs they're okay. Um, but coupons, especially if you can afford larger coupons, bigger
Mm-hmm.
discounts, they're effective at driving conversion rates up. Click-through rates
Nice.
at least go up when you add a
Yeah.
coupon. Anything you can get a badge in the search results.
Like
So
best deals, lighting deals as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
if you can get a badge in the search results, your click-through rate will go up. And if your click-through rate goes up, you hope your conversion rate and your sales go up and to follow. So, we
Awesome.
definitely utilize those tools. It's a big part of the strategy for sure, but
Awesome.
not
Cool.
automated, but there.
Yeah, cool. Nice. So I guess to conclude, Lenny, I mean, we have talked about everything, like how your tool, can significantly help automate all these things, how we analyze when to define the different stages of playing with pricing. Also, we just talked about things such as the elements such as coupons and all of that. I guess now to come to a closure, what other thing you would want to share with audience today when it comes to pricing? Any last a tip or a strategy that maybe you think is going to be key, especially in 2024, to have a successful journey when it comes to selling on Amazon?
Yeah, I was just at a roundtable discussion with a bunch of sellers and service providers the other day, and a major pain point that a lot of other sellers brought up was how to deal with the low inventory fee. Low
Hmm.
inventory fee. Um, Amazon will charge you anywhere between 30 cents to 80 cents per unit if your inventory dips below a certain threshold, right? So they'll charge you per unit sold an additional fee. So that was a big pain point that people were talking about. So I guess the only tip I would say with regards to pricing is it's not the end of the world. When you see that your item kicked into the low inventory level fee, when that starts applying on your item, raise the price by $1.
Exactly. Yeah.
Then it'll be like nothing happened. Again, if you're in that bestseller badge category where raising the price by $1 might make a big impact,
Yeah.
and you have a low inventory fee, then you have much bigger problems than the dollar. I mean,
Yeah.
if bestseller, you never want to be low inventory. But
That means you have a logistics issue. You don't have, yeah,
yeah, exactly. So that guy has a lot of other stuff to solve. But for the average seller that's on Amazon, these new fees are kicking in, and they don't apply in all scenarios. But if you
exactly.
understand the fees and when they apply, so just adjust your pricing to compensate when they apply. And when you replenished inventory and the fee disappeared, put your price back down. It's
Exactly.
very simple. So that was one little
Awesome.
tip that came up the other day. I felt it appropriate to
Thank you,
share.
Lenny.
Sure.
That's awesome. So first of all, thank you so much for your time and being on the show. You share as always gold content. I appreciate for that. And in case people want to reach out to you or maybe work with your software and everything, how people can find you and get in content. Yeah.
So azsellerkit.com is the website. So where is it?
Hmm. Yeah.
azsellerkit, just add a .com at the end, and you can visit us on the website. And my email address, if anyone wants to reach out to me via email, more than welcome to. It's Lenny, Lenny, at mmxdist, short for distribution, mmxdist.com. So
Nice.
feel free to email me, and always open to having conversations with people and see if there's any way we can help.
Thank you, Lenny. So a pleasure and looking forward to meet you soon at upcoming events. And man, I appreciate your time. Thank you for being here. Yeah.
Always a pleasure. Good to see you.
Thank you. Man.